talking about Mercury is in retrograde. I don't even know what the fuck that means, but check this out.
Back it up, retrograde like Mercury.
Hey y'all, as you know, we haven't had a lot of movement in the Kohberger case until recently when some new documents were dropped out of Nevada, and maybe we'll talk about those in a different video. However, Ashley Banfield from News Nation has put out a lot of stuff continually on Kohberger, and some people even call into question her motives or her sources and things like that. I've even seen some channels consider her a tragedy pimp. Here's what she had to say last night about burner phones.
I just mentioned to the, our viewers who are watching right now that Lori had 18 different phone accounts. But I didn't even mention the burner phones. What's the story on the burner phone? Who has burner phones except for like drug dealers and criminals and me? I have one, but like, what was the burner phone story? Well, I just want to be really clear. I am not a drug dealer or a criminal, but I have a burner phone because I've actually been calling Bryan Kohberger in jail, trying to get him to, consider returning a call. And he hasn't so far, but Alex, you'll be the first to know if Bryan Kohberger calls me back. You and Brian Enton.
And while I originally laughed at it, I really like what the Pascal show had to say about it today. So here's a fun clip from them.
So Ashley Banfield was on her show yesterday, and she was talking about, I guess Lori Vallow is, had a burner phone or something like that. She had phones and she was calling people, whatever. During this thing, she goes, who else has burner phones? She goes, drug dealers, whatever, but people who are up to no good. She goes, I got a burner phone. But who else? Who out here? What normal person would have a burner phone, right? So then later on in the conversation, she says, "Yeah, I have a burner phone, and I've been trying to contact Bryan Kohberger with this burner phone." In my mind, I'm like, wait, is he the source? Is he the source that she's getting all this information from? Like, what the hell is that all about? That's a little bit odd, don't you think?
It tells me that she is aware that her tactics are not particularly appreciated, and she doesn't want them to be able to be traced back to her in a documentable way. That is why, as she says, you use a burner phone when you have something to hide.
But she said it out loud on her own show.
And that was dumb.
That's dumb as hell, right? Thank you.
Why the hell would you say that?
Why would you say, like, you know what I'm saying? Make that make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, what that tells me is that it has not been fruitful. It has not been productive, because if it was working, you wouldn't say anything about it. You wouldn't blow your cover.
Right? She's like, oh yeah, I've been calling him, trying to get in touch with him. I'm like, why would you talk about having a burner phone? Like, what, you trying to tell people that you for the streets? Like, what is this all about? Explain this to me, Banfield.
Yeah, deniability. It's about deniability.
Hamburger.
And part of that is because they, News Nation is, cutting it pretty close with a lot of their reporting. A lot of stuff there that's not going to be, it's not going to make the court happy. And something that the folks at News Nation would do very well to bear in mind if they're, planning on sending anybody to the preliminary hearing in Idaho, is that Idaho doesn't have a reporter's privilege. They can be subpoenaed and compelled to testify about who their sources are. So, all of this reporting about the anonymous sources and stuff like that, as soon as they step foot in the state of Idaho, they may be potentially able to be compelled to give that up. So not very smart move on their part, in my opinion, but, they get to decide how they want to run their shop, and I get to decide that I will watch my news literally anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. I will have the Pascal show linked below. His guest today, the lawyer, was amazing. They went over some great stuff. I highly recommend going and listening to it. What do you guys think? Is Banfield and in turn News Nation becoming tragedy pimps? That's all for this one. I'll see you guys on the next one. Love, love.
Like, I'm just trying to understand it. Like, that's just why you were being weird? It was the planets, or okay, fine.